Hello and welcome everybody to this week's Facebook live stream. And so we're going to do things a little bit different today. And I'm really excited to bring in my colleague, Sherry Mahaney, to this conversation. And basically, we are going to discuss one of my favorite topics, and that is joy in your career. And I really believe that the more you can build a foundation on doing things that inherently bring you joy, and that you feel good about, where you feel like you're making a contribution and feel confident and competent in your work, that really creates a virtuous cycle of you leaning in and getting more involved because you're enjoying that allows you to improve and excel, and that done correctly, then your supervisors are going to notice that, and so then that leads you to career success. So the reason why I'm bringing in Sherry is because we both believe that this is a really important foundation in designing your career. And we have different knowledge and different tools to work with this. And so obviously, pretty much everything that I do is found in my career design studio. And so it was designed to help you identify your strengths. And what I want to just quickly do is talk a little bit about how my career design studio can help you identify joy and strengths. And it really, like I said, the big purpose of raw materials is to identify who you are and what you are good at. And as you go through and complete your career assessment, then you have these 3 different results activities, which basically gives you a list of activities and strengths and challenges and workplace essentials that people like you have said this is important. And so as you go through them, these aren't going to be your only strengths, but these are a way to just kind of start to keep yourself from staring at a blank page, asking yourself, what am I good at? And so, for example, for this one, for the connector, these are all things that I am good at. So I've clicked on that. And then when we go to my strengths and challenges, everything that I've selected so far shows up here. And so now strengths and joy are a little bit different. You might not enjoy your strengths. You might enjoy some things that you're not all that good at. And so really what you're looking for is kind of that sweet spot, that combination of the two. And so I think that one of the things that I really encourage my clients to do when they're in a job currently, to just, even if they're in a job that they're not exactly excited about, for them to just pay attention during the week and to when they felt the best, when did they enjoy what they were doing the most. And so this is why I wanted to bring you in, Sherry, because you had a different strategy. So I was just talking to people and saying, pay attention. And you've got experience with a specific tool that you use to help people where paying attention might not be structured enough for them. So yeah, tell me a little bit about the tool that you use.
Sure. So what I use, my background and training is more specifically in strengths. I've worked with the tool Strengths Quest. And so there are some really specific things that you are looking for as you go through the week. As you mentioned, it doesn't always mean that what you enjoy is going to be something that is a strength, but certainly a strength is something that you are drawn to doing throughout the week. And so what similar to paying attention, as you said, Rhonda, is I encourage people to jot down throughout the week as they experience it, because otherwise they will forget those things that they find that they're doing, and they're not always tasks, they are not always skills, they're small little pieces of work that they're doing that they just feel like time just slips away. They just
Yeah.
get very involved, they feel focused, they feel like they're really in the flow of whatever it is that they're doing. So it could be that they're writing something. It may not be the topic, but it's the writing, or it could be the topic and not the writing. But the key is to sort of figure out when you have that feeling of flow, when you find that it's something that comes easily to you, that you learn it quickly. You don't even always know that you can explain how you learned it,
Yeah.
but it doesn't take quite as much work
Yeah.
to figure that out. And you find yourself drawn to it in ways where you're sitting in a meeting perhaps, and a topic comes up and the person or someone says, can somebody do that? And your hand goes up without you even really thinking about it, because you're excited about it. You're drawn
Yeah.
to it. It may exhaust you, but you just feel drawn to wanting to do it again and again. So
Yeah.
those are ways that I think that if you can find work, if you're looking to make a change, that you find work as much as you can that is built on those particular strengths. And again, I'm not talking about skills, that's something different.
Right.
This is
Mhm.
more about personality strengths, the way in which you think about things, the way in which you behave.
Yeah. There's a couple of things that you said that I think are really important, and one of them is, well, just kind of to deepen what you've said, that I often have people, not only pay attention to, when their hand shoots up or when they feel like they're in the flow, but then to ask themselves the why. What is it about this particular instance? Because you mentioned that,
Mhm.
um, you might lose track when you're writing about something. And it might be because you enjoy writing, or it might be because you enjoy the topic. And those are some of the things that we want to break down a little bit, so that you don't say, oh, well, and I did this myself when I was in the Peace Corps in South Africa. And I wrote a bunch of grant proposals, and I really enjoyed the process. And so I'm like, all right, I'm going to go back home to the United States and, be a grant writer. And and I did not enjoy that once I got
Right,
here, because
right.
what I enjoyed was not the writing of the grant, but helping this organization that I believed in and that I really loved and respected, to think about where they wanted to grow.
Mhm.
And once I realized the difference, that actually led me directly to career coaching, because then I realized that it was that helping people identify and realize their dreams. That's what I wanted to do. It was not grant writing.
Yep.
And so, I think that's one of the things that is important here. And, another thing that you mentioned is that, um, you might be exhausted. The what you're doing might be difficult for you, but you still, something about it is still compelling. And
Yes.
often it is, how do you feel once you're finished?
Yes.
Some people just like challenges and or learn new things, and so they might be, it learning new things is often exhausting, but if they don't have that challenge, they get bored really easily. And
Right.
so again, I think that why and that investigating a little bit more can be really helpful. um,
Yes. And it's something that we just, if we try to, as you said, sit down with a blank sheet of paper, or we try to do it at the end of the week, or when we're meeting with some kind of a career coach, the problem is that we can only think of the bigger pieces that we dealt with during the week. We can't
yeah,
remember those specific examples or small things that we did that really are the things that we want to be able to expand on and do more. And
yeah,
as silly as it may seem at the time when you're doing it, that you feel like, well, just because I enjoy figuring out this particular computer problem, for instance,
Mm-hmm.
that how does that fit into my larger scheme of what I want to be doing in my ideal career? Well, things add up. So if you jot those little pieces down, trying not to think too hard about it, but just kind of like a diary, just trying to jot it down as it was, then you're going to have some puzzle pieces that you can begin to put together to
Yeah.
figure out, just as you said, how did it then lead you toward the next job? You begin to see what elements are going to become important in the
Yeah.
work that you do. And while, that next job is probably not going to be perfect, you can get it pretty close. You'll know what you're looking for, which is huge.
Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
half the battle,
Yep.
is knowing what is the topic, what is the career area that you're
Yeah.
looking for. And so by gathering those little pieces of information can really increase the chances tenfold
Yeah.
that you're going to find a job that you just love and feel
Right.
invested in.
Yeah. And I think that, when you're talking about, having these little puzzle pieces, or, in the kind of the my career design studio parlance, the mosaic tiles,
Yeah.
it's just, you don't have to know exactly what the job title is. And sometimes that's not even super helpful. It's really just knowing what is important to you. And, um, and one other thing that I want to share with people who are watching this is so one of the things, like, as you're going through and you're realizing this is something that I'm good at, then you can go to the strengths and challenges activity and just keep adding to this. And so it doesn't matter how big or small it is. You want to be able to keep track of this information, because so often we'll have these little light bulb moments and be like, oh, that's what I'm good at. And then the next morning you're like, I
Yes.
found out something and I don't remember what it is. And that
Yes.
feels a little embarrassing.
Mhm.
So, that's one of the benefits of my career design studio, is that you can keep everything in one place.
Yes.
And there's an activity called My 9 Lives, which this is kind of the bigger picture from what Sherry was just talking about. So this might be turning that random thing, right, into an actual, like, I would, love to be a career coach, for example. And, but in My 9 Lives, the purpose is not to come up with job titles. It is to come up with these career design essentials. What is important to you? And so, just by looking at these different job titles that would bring you joy, anything from something practical, to being a teacher, for example, to being a circus performer. Chances are you're not going to do that, but what is it about that kind of work that's interesting to you? And so it might be performing, or, being on a stage, being in front of people. It could be, like physical challenges. If I can spell, that would be helpful. Challenges. And so then again, you're just kind of keeping track of these things.
Mhm.
Then when you go off to then start turning this into potential jobs, you've got the napkin sketch, where again, you've got your list of everything that you've identified is important to you.
Mhm.
And just by looking at this, you might want to add a few other things. And then when you get to my career design priorities, this is when you really identify, this is what I need. These are my have to haves, to be happy, to be sane, to be fulfilled in my job. If I don't have this specific thing, then there's no way I could make this a success. And for me, it is feeling like I'm making a difference. I've had jobs just to pay the bills, and I can't do them. I just can't. And so that's, so those are how you start prioritizing. And again, things like, I feel like I have to make a difference, that can be a lot of different things. And so, that doesn't mean you have to be in a helping profession.
Right.
You can make a difference doing almost anything, or whatever it is that's important to you. So I think those are some of the tools. So any other ideas or tools or tricks that that might be helpful for someone who just is really struggling to identify their career joy?
Yeah, I think that probably I think first of all is to recognize that it's well worth the time that it would
Yeah,
take to do this, even if you did it for 3 days and not an
yeah,
entire week.
yeah,
And maybe you want to also do an additional list of what you just don't like doing.
yep,
Many times that is something we tend to remember better than what we
yeah,
liked, but it
and
will
it's
certainly,
helpful.
yeah, and it will tell you what you want to stay away from. What is it that weakens you rather than strengthens you?
Yeah,
Um, both are good pieces of information. But I guess what I'd also like to say with my career design studio, what I also love about this is that if you've captured those things that bring you joy and what those strengths are, you can keep going back to that list repeatedly
yeah,
over the course of your career. Every time you're ready to make a change,
yeah,
and look at those and remember that those are what your priorities are. And those are the things that really make you tick. Because
yeah,
many times those things that bring us joy, as you're talking about, that wanting to help people, that is something that doesn't go away.
yeah,
That is pretty stable. So if you could put your finger on those
yeah,
specific kinds of activities that really create that synergy of your beliefs and your values, your interests, all those things are kind of getting wrapped up all together. Those are things that you're going to be able to plunk into whatever job or career that might fit you, because there usually are much more. There's more than one. There could be
yeah.
5 or more.
Absolutely. And I think, yeah, like have that be kind of your guiding star there. Um and I think um that there's a lot of things about us that change over the years. And so, there might be a new skill that we develop that we realize, oh, this is actually a strength of mine. And
Uh-huh.
so then you can include and build on that. But what I have found sometimes when I'm working with people over the course of several years, when they found what I call a stepping stone job, like this is leading them towards their ideal,
Right.
even though it's not quite there. Um, it is really easy to kind of like go off on these little branches
Yeah.
that don't really they speak to what we call in my career design studio is icing on the cake. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, this is fun, it's nice, but it's not a have to have.
Right.
And so to be able to come back to, well, yeah, maybe I have all this glitz and glam and, a great salary and all these benefits, but I don't feel like I'm helping people or making a difference anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Then you'll feel that sooner or later.
I
And
was just going to say, you feel a sense of emptiness and you can't put your finger on it.
yeah, yeah. And what our goal is, right, Sherry, is to help people to avoid making some of those decisions
Right.
that, I mean, sometimes you have to learn things the hard way, but sometimes you don't. Sometimes it's just that reminder of, oh, what's really important to you. Yeah,
Right.
what brings you joy.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
thank you so much for joining me today, Sherry, and
Absolutely.
for everybody who is watching this. Here's the challenge. Again, pay attention. Whether you're in a job that you love or you don't, or even if you're not employed right now, you can still just make a note over the next couple of days of when did you feel your best, and then just make a commitment to design and build your career based on those kinds of things. So thanks everybody for listening, and I will see you next week.